For 10 whole years, he didn't touch a single bite of food or a drop of water. Instead, he spent his days training super hard in some really dangerous places, putting himself through all kinds of pain on purpose, because he was on a mission to become a godlike figure in the world. It all started 2,500 years ago. There was a big fight between the kingdoms of Kosala and Magadha over the river Ganges and the city called Kapilavatthu. The palace in Kapilavatthu got attacked by Kosala, and the people who got caught in the war had to suffer. Not only they lost their families, but they also suffered from hunger and the lack of jobs. The people could only hope that one day someone special would be born and help them get out of this situation. Until one day, the son of the king of Kapilavatthu was born. On the day Prince Siddhartha was born, everyone could feel an intense aura in the air. The sun shone bright like never before, and the people realized he was blessed by the gods. The villagers are amazed, and all the animals gathered to see this special event. The villagers celebrate the arrival of the heir of Shakya, and everyone congratulates the king. Even though Maya is happy about the blessings being showered on her son, she feels weak and faints. King Prajapati and his soldiers hurry back to the city when they hear the news that the queen is in danger. When Prajapati reaches Maya, she presents baby Siddhartha to him. He lovingly holds the baby, and Maya shares that she wants to name him Siddhartha, meaning someone who achieves his goal. Prajapati likes the name a lot, but things get scary when Maya starts to feel pain. She asks to hold the baby, and Prajapati gives Siddhartha to her. Maya says Siddhartha will be extraordinary and have great faith. She caresses her baby one last time before passing away. Prajapati can only hold his son close as Siddhartha cries for the loss of his mother. A priest named Asita pays a visit to King Prajapati, who feels honored that the priest came to see them. Asita and Prajapati go to Siddhartha's room, but Asita is shocked when he sees the baby. Prajapati asks for the reason, and Asita tells him to look at how the baby has one finger pointed to the sky and another finger pointed to the ground. This signifies he is the most revered on heaven and earth, meaning that this child is going to be the king of the world. Prajapati is shocked by this revelation. Asita is amazed, but adds that unfortunately, he will not be alive to witness Siddhartha grow. 10 years later, Siddhartha is being entertained by some dancers, but he's not impressed. He gets tired and walks away from the dancers to the balcony. There, he stares at something with anger on his face. Siddhartha joins the other children as an elder tells them to grow up quickly and become great warriors to defeat Kosala. Siddhartha gets up and asks the elder if the war will really lead to death. The elder says there are some survivors, but Siddhartha wants to know what happens to a person after they die. The elder mentions a funeral, but Siddhartha persists, asking what happens to the dead after the funeral. The elder shuts him down, saying he came to teach, not to debate. Siddhartha sits down, feeling sad. However, a kid named Jedka whispers to him that they should go play because the lesson is boring. Another kid agrees, and the two boys drag Siddhartha away to go play. The boys are hunting a rabbit with their makeshift bow and arrow. Jedka misses the first shot, and the rabbit runs away. They chase after it, cornering it. Jedka is about to take another shot when Siddhartha jumps on him to stop him. The rabbit escapes as the arrow misses. Jedka asks what Siddhartha's deal is, pushes him away, and then he and the other boy go to hunt another animal. Siddhartha feels sad and starts thinking about hunting living creatures. He wanders into the forest, and the animals nearby aren't scared of him. They come out of their hiding to look at him. However, the moment is short-lived as Jedka falls into a swamp and can't get out. He's sinking in, calling for help. Siddhartha hears him and rushes over to help. The other kid is trying to reach Jedka, while Siddhartha, seeing the situation, goes over to a branch. He lowers it with his body weight, and the other boy jumps on the branch too. The branch becomes low enough for Jedka, who desperately tries to hold onto it, but can only grab the edge, which snaps immediately as he grabs it. Jedka is still crying for help, but it's too late as he is completely submerged in the swamp. Siddhartha and the other kid are in shock. The news reaches the people, and they all rush to the forest. Jedka's mom cries at the loss of her son, and the people gather around to console her. Siddhartha walks away from the group, feeling sad, when he's called by his stepmom. Siddhartha wants to hide his crying face from everyone but can't. He runs into his stepmom's arms, crying. His stepmom hugs him, grateful that he's okay, but also consoles him as he weeps profusely, saying Jedka is dead. Siddhartha becomes weak from crying and faints in his mom's arms. She holds him tightly, weeping along with her son. His stepmom takes him to his room to rest. The maid informs them about King Prajapati's arrival, but Siddhartha is so ashamed of himself as he lays in bed, turning his face from his mother. She tells him that everything will be okay and he should get some sleep. Then she leaves him to rest and meets with the king, who asks her how Siddhartha is doing. She apologizes, blaming herself and saying her dereliction of duty caused the situation to happen. King Prajapati tells her that Maya was weak after giving birth to Siddhartha, but she must show more love to Siddhartha than Maya. She thanks him for his kind words. He then says that Siddhartha is old enough to take martial arts training. Siddhartha, who isn't asleep, can hear all their conversation. Siddhartha is learning how to shoot an arrow, and the instructor is yelling while giving him instructions. Siddhartha is struggling to pull the bow. The soldiers start sparring with each other, but they stop when they see Siddhartha's partner being too violent. They're worried for the prince. Siddhartha is holding up against his sparring partner, who attacks him with full force. Siddhartha tries to block the attack with his shield, but loses it and falls to the ground. He has to hurry back to avoid all the attacks from hurting him. 5 years later, Siddhartha is sparring with his partner, and the soldiers watching are amazed, commenting on how he has gotten better. Siddhartha can counter and attack his opponent without fail. His father is proud to see his son has gotten better. His opponent praises him for getting so strong, smiling at his achievement of teaching Siddhartha. However, Siddhartha is not happy as he sheaths his sword and walks away. A soldier rushes in to deliver an emergency letter as the war against Kosala is about to begin. Siddhartha asks his father why they need to fight, and his father says that they've been able to avoid the war in recent years, but not this time. His father tells him to make a good start. Siddhartha asks what that means, and his father says Siddhartha should defeat Kosala, inherit his place, and become the king of their country. But Siddhartha questions his father on why there is war, why are humans killing each other? His father yells at him, saying if they don't fight, Kosala won't be conquered. Still, Siddhartha isn't convinced. His father asks him how he intends to be a king with this mindset. As the war begins, Kosala and Shakya charge towards each other, not caring about the village between their clashing zones. Siddhartha watches from above as the countries battle it out, trampling over the village. Shakya rains arrows on Kosala's front lines, ending them. However, Kosala's war leader keeps advancing, urging his men to follow. Siddhartha sees the piles of bodies and can't stand to watch. He advances with his men into the battlefield. Both sides attack each other with everything they've got. The king rides his horse, taking down some of Kosala's men, but the Kosala leader and his soldiers still have the upper hand, easily wiping out Shakya's soldiers. Siddhartha rides into the battlefield, yelling at them to stop, but his cries fall on deaf ears. Siddhartha is surrounded by Kosala soldiers who identify him as the prince and leader, seeking to kill him to earn a title for themselves. Shakya's soldiers try to shield Siddhartha, but they are easily wiped out. Kosala's leader, Chapra, tries to attack Siddhartha, but suddenly time seems to move slowly. The closer he gets to Siddhartha, the more illuminating he becomes. Siddhartha doesn't draw out his sword during this moment and just stares straight at Chapra. Chapra starts spitting blood, and his horse becomes restless. He ends up falling off, still spitting blood. Siddhartha and Chapra keep staring at each other, and Chapra realizes that things are different because it feels like Siddhartha is looking deep into his soul and judging him. Chapra hits the ground hard, and his men come around to check on him, but he passes away immediately. The Kosala soldiers are ordered to retreat immediately. A soldier tells Siddhartha to return to the army, and other soldiers yell at each other to retreat and protect the prince. Siddhartha retreats with the rest of the army. Under the night sky, with the moon illuminating the surroundings, Princess Yashodhara, his wife, walks up to him, asking why he isn't resting. She mentions that he sits there every night until it's very late and asks if he has any concerns. He replies that humans die and get sick easily, wondering why he is unable to do anything. Siddhartha flips the page of a scroll in his hand and questions why people have to give up when they suffer from an incurable disease. He wonders aloud why they have to close their eyes while waiting for death to come and ease their suffering. Siddhartha believes life is full of suffering. As he stands up, memories flood back to when he traveled across the country and saw people suffering. He remembers a young slave boy getting trampled by a fruit merchant for stealing. The child, all shriveled up from hunger, holds onto the stolen orange, enduring the pain while the merchant continues stepping on him. Back in the present, Siddhartha tells Princess Yashodhara that even though he was born a prince, he feels like he knows nothing. He thinks he's more ignorant than even the Sudras, a group of people. He expresses his desire to learn all about the world. Princess Yashodhara hugs him from behind and says his name. Prince Siddhartha tells her to rest. A few years later, the royal family gathered at Princess Yasodhara's room because she just had a baby. Prince Siddhartha goes out on the palace porch to think. He tells himself that even though he learns a lot, all he sees is people suffering, and no one teaches him how to fix it. In his mind, he sees many people needing help, reaching out to him like they want to pull him into a dark hole. This is the horror of people suffering. Realizing that, as a future leader, he can't stop people from getting sick, growing old, and dying, Siddhartha knows that these things are inevitable in the world of life. He understands he will go through all of them as a human and face death. He starts sinking into this thought, feeling the darkness around him. He struggles because he realizes life brings pain, and Siddhartha desperately wants to find a clear way to avoid that pain. He snaps out of his thoughts, finding himself sitting in a lotus position under a tree in the middle of the jungle. Determined, he thinks there must be something he can do. Siddhartha makes a big decision to leave everything behind and search for the truth. Late at night, he goes to his father's room while he's asleep. Feeling sad about possibly disappointing his father, Siddhartha quietly leaves a note, hoping for forgiveness. Stepping out, he mounts his horse and rides to the top of a hill, taking one last look at the city before heading off on his journey. A man named Channa catches up to Prince Siddhartha and begs him to come back. Siddhartha gets off his horse and tells Channa to take the horse back to the city. Then, he starts taking off all his royal ornaments and robe, throwing them on the ground. Channa picks up the valuable items and asks Siddhartha what he's doing. He is shocked to see Siddhartha take a knife and cut off all his hair until he's completely bald. Siddhartha hands his hair to Channa and instructs him to give it to Princess Yasodhara. Siddhartha tells Channa to tell the princess that he will be back after finding the path to success. Channa, crying for Siddhartha, watches as he walks away with only a robe around his waist. Siddhartha tells Channa to return with the horse and the other valuables, emphasizing his determination to seek a different path. Siddhartha sets off on his journey to find his own path. His mother Maya has been watching over him, believing in the prophecy that he will become a great person and erase the suffering of all living things. She wishes him well as he becomes an ascetic monk and travels across the world. Siddhartha's journey is tough. He relies on the kindness of strangers for food, sleeps wherever he can find shelter, and walks through harsh weather on foot. One day, he arrives at a village where people are suffering from severe hunger, almost lifeless on the ground. Siddhartha uses his robe to cover a shivering mother and child, surprising those who witness this compassionate gesture. Siddhartha spends some time in the village and heads towards the stream when a man approaches him. The man notices Siddhartha's growing hair and beard, telling him it's not good for a monk. He offers a razor to help trim Siddhartha's hair and beard, inviting him to his house to clean up. Siddhartha agrees. At the man's house, he gives Siddhartha a robe to wear, complimenting how good he looks in it. Another monk in the house asks for a cup of water, and the man happily goes to get it, excited to have two monks in his home. Siddhartha introduces himself to the other monk, who then surprises him by asking if he was the Shakyan prince. Taken aback, Siddhartha confirms it. The monk introduces